Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all of my baggage droppers around the world, welcome to another episode of the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. I am your host, the self-talk engineer, Charles Woolfork. And if you are right here, right now, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. And if you're on a podcast platform, give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well. Now, today, I have the honor of having two of my favorite people, family of mine on the show. I'm talking about Rev Rita and Rev Patrick. Now, Rev Rita is an ordained religious science minister, teacher, spiritual coach, singer, artist, and healer, and so much more, especially to me. And Rev Patrick is also an ordained religious science minister, healer, spiritual coach, and he also has a strong background as a solo performer, life coach, teacher, and educator. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Rev Rita and Rev Patrick. What's up, y'all?
What an intro there.
Well, I mean, it's you guys just shining y'all light. And also for you all, I forgot to mention that these two established the Center for Spiritual Living, CSL Kauai, right here on the island of Kauai. And they did that back in 2013, y'all.
Wow. Yes,
Ooh.
We are the founding ministers.
Holy cow. What are we going to do next year for the 10th year anniversary?
Ooh.
I know.
Accumulation of everything, right?
Yeah, exactly. Someone even said something about the 10th year being new beginnings.
Yeah.
So you guys told me, and before that, you were the one that initially got into Science of Mind. What brought you into Science of Mind?
That's an interesting. I was in LA, been in my wheels as an entertainer, actor, and I was going to take a couple months off to go to New Mexico. And right before I went to New Mexico, a good friend of mine said, before you go, I want you to go to this place. It's the Science of Mind Church. It's not really churchy, it gave me the whole thing. And I went in and met this incredible minister, Reverend Marlene. But it was a week before I was leaving. And I went, this speaks to me. This is exactly what I would love to add to my life.
What was it about it that spoke to you?
Well, because what it did is I always thought I was thinking these thoughts by myself, about non-religious, not dogmatic, and she just had this thing that the power was within you and that you had it all the time. It was kind of like a Wizard of Oz. You have the power all the time. You just got to use it, Yeah. And then I went, this is exactly where I like to, I'm leaving to go to New Mexico. Oh, no. Oh, wait. Yeah. So when I got there, after a while of getting established and decided to open up a studio there, I also saw that there was a what they call religious science center there as well. So I just went and started. Wasn't quite the same as Reverend Marlene, but anyway, we came back to her later. But
when was that? When did you go to New Mexico? And what year was that?
That was 94.
Oh, wow. So there's earlier on with
94. Yeah. My brother had passed away, my dad the year later. And I was in LA and I just went, I could probably use a little break, which I went to New Mexico for 3 months. And I decided that maybe I should just stay there a little bit longer. And I ended up staying 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Heard there.
And Rev Rita, you weren't into the religious science or the science of mind as of yet.
You want to know how I got in there?
Yes, of course.
Well, okay. So basically, I was done with churches and religion and all of that. So when I met him, he was into the science of mind, or at least he was attending the church in New Mexico, because that's where we met in Albuquerque. And so he kept asking me to go, but I said, no, I am done with churches. I am done with religion. I was free and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So it wasn't until we went to LA, when I went to LA with him. That's another story. And he took me to a Science of Mind church, and it was Reverend Marlene. And she was in the middle of a program, The Heart's Desire. She called it Heart's Desire. And I sat in the back of that church and just started bawling because I had left to go and pursue an acting career in Los Angeles. And I was like, I think I was about 45 or 46 at the time. I don't know. I can't remember exact age. And, a 46-year-old woman going to Los Angeles to start an acting career is very overwhelming and kind of, you're told you're never going to be successful things. and her program was called The Heart's Desire. So it just attracted me right away. It was like, oh, there's a power within me. I can have my heart's desire, so that started me down the path.
So
that's how I got called, and I was like totally into it. I don't think I missed a day. I mean, other than maybe here and there since that day.
And took classes.
Like I jumped right into class.
Oh, wow. So
almost immediately, yeah.
And Patrick, you were already taking classes and everything, I assume.
Yeah, I had already started. I also was the youth leader in New Mexico. So I've always worked well with children and young adults. And so I kind of did that. And then when I went back, I said, I'm going to start taking classes. So we started both taking them in LA and just moved up to practitioner. And then minister came later because we were like, I think we're going to go on. And now look how life, it just takes you in these incredible twists and turns that you wouldn't even imagine, or you probably imagine it, but you couldn't know how it's going to happen.
Exactly. How were the early conversations and the early study sessions with the classes?
Well, for me, I would say that I came into the teaching very pretty damaged, pretty victim consciousness. And I was just coming out of a divorce and all the guilt and stuff surrounding that. And so I was looking for answers and I kept getting answers and, actually turning it back to myself and getting out of victim consciousness. You know what I mean? And realizing that I'm at the helm of my ship and I have to love myself more because I think I was in a consciousness of really self-sabotage. And at the time I was having a lot of sciatica back pain and stuff like that. I came to find out that all had to do with my guilt and everything that I was dealing with my divorce and everything. So it was very, 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 very helpful to guide me through all the turmoil I was going through, because I was able to get back into myself and understanding myself and my place in all of that and what, so to turn me from victim to taking charge of my life and being responsible for everything that's going on, not blame, but responsible and realizing that I could shift my life, but it didn't come right away. I mean, probably took Science of My 100. I don't know how many times I took it, probably 2 or 3 times.
Well, we switched people.
We switched people too, switched centers at one point because the Reverend Marlene had left. But yeah, I mean, we went through the coursework since 1998. We didn't graduate as ministers until 2011. And we were in class that whole time.
Wow. So throughout
we were never out of class.
It wasn't because we were slow and we couldn't get it. It was just because, so don't be putting that on yourself.
No, because we loved it. We loved it.
Yeah, and we just kept going to dig deeper. Because
it's really all about you. It's not even when you go to become a practitioner, it's not about, you're going to end up going out and helping people. But to begin with, it's you facing your inner demons and all the stuff that you need to get through. So all your judgments, your guilt, all of that stuff, your story, the first year of practitioner is, how life got to be the way it is. And so that's, does that answer your question?
100%. So that was for you and Patrick. So I have watched Bree go from this 28-year-old woman to this now goddess that I see, and the transformation that has happened with her has been so beautiful. It's been so lovely to just see her blossom and to become this amazing, strong woman that she has been, without the shame and the blame from her being a Jehovah's Witness and then getting out of that religion. How was it for you, Patrick, to see the genesis of Rita to now her becoming her own woman over this time? How was that for you?
Well, it's always been, it's interesting because I think the person is always the last to know, the person going through the transformation, like the butterfly, right? It's like, I'm stuck in this thing and, you're getting through it. But I always saw that in her, as we do when we, not only because we see potentiality, but because I actually always saw the strength, the incredible way that she works through her life and the way she can tackle things. But it took her to know that for herself. So that was the beauty of watching somebody discover themselves when you already see the beauty and the beyond potentiality of someone. So that was the fun part. That was the fun part of watching it. Plus we're good partners. So it was a nice, for us to balance each other, and be able to work as partners, because we've done a lot. Our stuff, most of the things we did, even when we produced and we did everything, we did it always together. So we were very, we watched each other go through it all. The caterpillar stage.
People ask us, like, they're like, oh, well, how do you work together? Because, it's very rare. I mean, I don't know this rare, but husbands and wives working together can be problematic, right?
Yes.
But, especially in a situation like this, because it could get competitive and, they like him more than they like me and all this stuff. But Patrick and I have always worked together from like he was saying, from the moment we met, we worked together. Like I worked for him at first. And then, then we produced, like you said, together. And then we started going to school together. Then we, I directed him, he directed me, we went to the center together. So it's not like, it's almost like that's our relationship.
I mean, that's our relationship to continuously support one another, but also to go through whatever type of path together, which is beautiful. I mean, even like today, you guys teach classes together, and of course, you have the services together.
We share the pulpit together on Sundays. The podium is shared by both of us, which is once again a very different way of approaching ministry. Even though we're new thought and we're a little different than others, but I think people will always say, "How do you do that?" I think it's because we're so different, yet we're so, still on the same path together. Yes. But we express so differently, as you well know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, but the polarity in the two is what makes it special. That's why I stayed. Like, my ex-wife was gone, and she's the one that initially thought of us coming to CSL. But I stayed, and I continued to come and take the classes. I think one of the first classes that I took was
Power of Decision.
No, it was the workshop. The 2 weeks you go on stage, flying solo.
Oh, flying solo, yeah.
Into the fire, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's flying and making sure you have wings at some point in the flight, right?
Exactly. Like growing the wings as I'm falling. But so who was it that did both of you all come to the decision together that you were going to become practitioners and go through this journey together? Or was one person like, hey, I think practitionership is the next step?
That's a good question. I think it might have went well. She was always, there's one thing about Rita, if I may say so. Once she says, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. It pretty much goes all the way, she's going to take it all the way home. I'm not flippant, but I stay a little more open about everything, so I would say that she was the determined one, which is funny because I got her into the whole thing. But
that's like an interesting question.
Yeah.
It seems like it's not like I told him to do it or something.
No, of course not.
It just seemed like we were on the same path. We were just on the same path. Even with theater, we were on the same path and we supported each other. Like you said, one of the first things we did, I helped him in his studio, and we were both into acting.
She was actually my student, by the way.
I was a student, And then I created a one-person show for him and put that up on we put that up together. So I don't know. I think we're pretty unusual. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to say we're special, but we are. I think we were just meant to be together. And I remember this one person that Patrick married said, and he had it in his vows that when he got married, is that it wasn't like being wrapped up in each other. It was more like being together and looking out into the world and coming from each other, but out, because it's about your vision for being in service and being, in the world as a couple. But it just seems like we love each other. We have a great relationship, but it's more than that. Like, it's more like going out into the world together.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
One funny thing is that we used to always say that, when we got married, I said, we have to make sure we always change. You know how they say never change, but we're like, we counted on it. And then one thing that we don't talk about a lot, because it's kind of a weird thing, but there's almost a part of Rita and I, because I didn't get married until I was 42. She had been married for 27 years before I met her. But when we met, it was almost as though, and we're still going through it, when it's you're young and you're in your 25, 30s, you're kind of starting. That's kind of how we are. We're kind of like growing up together, like we had met at 18 or 19 or 20. And because now we're almost like everyone's going, I'm retired, and I'm going, retired? What are you talking about, retire? I don't think so, man. No. And not because I'm against it. I just said, it's like starting again. We started a whole new life of ministries, a whole nother world too.
Yeah, that is true, because we're not normal for our age. Most people aren't like starting new things and buying a house for the first time, and all the stuff that we're seeing ourselves wanting to do, and starting a whole career at 60, like a whole different career.
That's a whole nother world.
And he's right. It's like we're
like we're second time around growing up,
growing up together,
and we're helping each other through growing up,
It's
in a whole nother way.
It's a spiritual growth. It's a spiritual maturity, which is a different type of life. You can have your success in career, you can have your success in, parenthood, or you can have your success in a lot of other things. However, that when you feel yourself having this spiritual growth, man, things blossom in a totally different way. And you guys have seen each other grow up within this organization together for what? Well, Patrick, it's almost 20 years for you. No, 30, in fact, since 94. Yep. So almost 30.
Is that possible?
Oh my God. You must be mistaken. I think you better get a calculator as I sit up straight.
I know, right?
What are you talking about?
But it's phenomenal to see you all so full of life because of this belief and of this teaching that has now grabbed a hold of you all and like really like turned your life into something you probably even never thought of when you were in New Mexico or in Los Angeles, for that matter.
Right. I had a whole different track we were on and a whole different feeling, and now we're sitting here, and it is that we were saying the other day, it's not a part-time, even when we started as founders of CSL Kauai, we went in 100%. The two of us, many people suggested, as they do when you start something, they said, why don't one of you get a real job, telling us that at 50, and we get a job, and then while you're doing that, you can build this center. And we made a definite decision. We said, no, we already did that with acting, where you kind of, wait tables on that, and then you go do your acting. And we went in 100%, said we're both in, or we're both out. No, one in and one out, and we're going to do this together and go in and start and found it. And now we're 9 years going, into our 10th, so.
Wow. So like obviously
on an island.
So you're on the path of becoming a practitioner, and was it just known like, hey, after practitionership, we're going to go ahead and keep evolving to become these reverends? Or was it just something that just happened over time as you all spiritually matured?
I think it's for me, I just kind of
it was immediate.
It was immediate.
It's just, we got done with practitioner, and within a year, when Dr. James said he was going to teach his first ministerial class, we were like, okay, we're in.
Boom.
But this this life that we're living now was not in my, I wasn't thinking, I'm going to move to Kauai and start where nobody even knows what Science of Mind is. And where still people wonder that we just had somebody at a party on the mainland. Said, can you believe they moved there, started this whole thing, and they don't even speak English there?
Right.
And I went, wait a minute, where did they think we moved to? But it was such a glorious way she put it. So I just went, let it. We won't bring up the subject that I don't know what you're talking about. But
Exactly. You didn't move to Nicaragua. You know?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what she thought we were doing there. But.
I'll tell you that when I was in ministerial school,
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted to be a minister. Like I wanted to be a full-time minister. I wasn't going to just get a ministerial degree and then not do it.
So you already have visions of having your own center.
I didn't know this was going to be.
Yeah.
No.
But I did know that it was going to happen. I mean, I quit my job when I graduated from ministerial school. I had a full-time job, and I was working, volunteering at the center I was at, and I just was like, I want to do this full-time. I was doing as much as I could volunteer-wise, and I was getting interrupted from my work, and I was like, oh, I'm realizing now that I'd really rather be there than here. You know what I mean? So
100%.
I kind of pretty much upright and quit my job and just went and said, I want to do this full time. It was like a miracle, not a miracle, but when I went to Dr. James and said, I said, I'll be your assistant minister, and he's like, no, I don't see you as that. And, I said, well, I'm going to do this full time. So I think you should think about it anyway. And he came back to me and said, you know what? I think I can do it, but I can only afford to give you this month. And it was like much, he said, and it was like a quarter of what I was making.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I'm not doing this for money. I know that, you taught me that you're supplied no matter what.
Right.
So about 3 days later, the administrator quit. And so he was like, okay, this can work. I can make you the administrator and you can be the assistant minister and you'll have pretty much a salary.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just a little bit less than what I was making, but it was definitely set me on my path.
Yeah, dude.
It's like making a decision, right?
But we always knew we would found our own. We would not work for other people. We always knew that. We weren't going to go candidate, as they call it, for another center, that lost their minister or something, because we knew we couldn't have it the way that we visioned ourselves running a center and growing it. So, it's not easy going into someone else's center when they've already been established and the people that have been going there have a certain way that they so we figured if you start with a completely blank slate, you can paint it any way you want to.
Amen. And like, I tell you something, I have nightmares about going to another CSL, like a CSL in Ohio. I see the Center for Spiritual Living as a certain way, as fun, energetic, and light, and just so vibrant and full of energy. And if it's anything that's different, I don't know. I would say, where am I? Like, is this really a CSL? Because of the way that you all have built this amazing organization, this amazing masterpiece. So walk me through how you all got to Kauai.
You want to start?
Well, I left first for a moment to come here. But how we got there? What
did you come here for? What did you come here for, Patrick?
Well, we came first for a vacation.
Gotcha.
And then then that's how it really all started, because we came here for a vacation. And I had been here before, many years before I met my mom over here. She loved to go to Hawaii, and she always came over here.
But we had already decided we were going to start.
We already decided we were going to start. So we were looking at the East Coast, maybe New Mexico, because her family's there. I mean, her children. And so then we said, well, let's go on this vacation. My mom had moved to LA. My mom was getting much older. She was in probably just going for 90 92 when we moved. But that was as we got here. And then Rita, that determined thing, she sits there and we're like, oh, we finally got a vacation and go to the island. She gets off the plane and it's like, oh, this is it. This is where we're gonna do this. And I was like, do what? We haven't even had a day of vacation. She's trying to go down to the Commerce to get more information about how we're all the stuff that's going on here. And then then we went back, and that's where I'm saying that she's more determined than me, because I would be more like, do we want to check out other islands? Do we want to, you know, this feels a little quick for me. It's kind of like the wings. It's like, wow, you know. So we came back, and I said, well, don't say anything to James, Dr. James. And then we walked into because I was a youth minister there. And we walked in, they were having an event with the kids, and he said, you guys are moving, aren't you? Is that? And so it was how many months later?
6 months later, we were gone.
Wow.
Which the difficult part of flying was, and then I came over here for 3 months to kind of plant seeds while Rita stayed at. But probably for me, the most difficult part was that my mom was at a point, and it was just me and my mom. I don't have a very large family. So that was one of those moments in time where she had almost passed away about 2 times before, in the years before that. And so when we decided to go, she kind of had a comeback, kind of like in, what's this one, the Italian show?
Rocky.
Moonstruck. No, Moonstruck. When he goes with his mother and he says, Mom, I'm getting married. And she rises up out of it and says, oh, and she's cooking for everybody. Well, that's kind of my mom. I'm moving. Oh no, what do you mean you're moving? Moving where? You know. So I think what makes that story important, and to other people they could say, you know, if 2 people are listening to it, everybody's got a different interpretation. One interpretation could be you deserted your mom when she needed you the most and came here, and then that's, could be an interpretation. At least that's the stuff that goes on in your own mind. Or I got to fly. And my mom was an independent woman before she wasn't. And she would, if it had been her, and she did do it in her life, she would have left. Yeah. She did it with her mom. I'm going no matter what. And she left. But it's different than when you're going there, you're not going.
She had the opportunity to come with us.
She had the opportunity. We said, you want to come? She said it was too big of a change for her. At 90 too. So
wow. I never heard that part of the story. You guys it made it like if you're writing a kind of the Cinderella story of life, you want it to be. And then they took off, and because that's how I am when I am on an adventure, I'm like, and getting all excited. But this one was a little bit different because I kept having that guilt about going forward, and I went, this is the right thing to do. And it always has been the right thing to do. Right. So that kind of gave a little bit of a heavier kind of something to be pulling down than when you move. Like I moved to New York in the past, and I was like, I'm here, and I'm like going all over the place. But there wasn't anything that was telling me I shouldn't. Right. So I think that just made me stronger. I think it made me, I used it in my talks. Everybody knew my mom for the first couple of years until she passed away. And so we incorporated it with the people as we started to grow. Yes. We're transparent, I guess is the word. We didn't keep things like over here. We just put them out there for everybody to see. So,
well, isn't it a real life philosophy where you have to live it, right?
Right.
And you have to use it. And if you stop growing when you're not like living life.
Right.
When you're not having life, you got to live life, and then you bring it to ministry and you share it, and you're open and honest about what you're going through.
100%. You got
like that. We've always done that.
Every Sunday is another chapter in your saga. It's really, I mean, we had the Prince Krishna saga. You know what I mean? We had
tell him who Prince Krishna.
You better tell him Prince.
Sorry for all the listeners out there.
I'm royalty, is what Charles is trying to tell you. I come from the palace of
the kitty cat.
It was my little love of our life, our cat.
Yeah. That passed away about almost 2 years ago now.
Oh God.
Yeah, it'll be 2 years this month.
Be 2 years, yeah. And then and then there was when you guys moved from the other house that you were all down the street into this house, like there's so many different like chapters in which you all are so transparent about
I had COVID, and we had to close the center one Sunday.
Oh yeah.
And but I shared my whole thing as a minister. I had to.
Yeah.
I'm not, I can't hide as a minister. I have to show it. So, we kept everybody safe and everything, but I wrote a blog about it. I did a Zoom thing, so to let people know that I'm walking through this,
Oh, so I got 2 weeks to just be me on there talking and doing my thing,
A wonderful week.
Yeah, it's for us, it's about, and we learned that from our mentor too, because he was always, he had cancer. And we all walked through that cancer with him from the day he got diagnosed till he went through his treatment and recovered. So I think, he never hid away with it. He put it out in the open.
A lot of times when
that's healing,
Yeah, very.
If you're hiding for shame,
right.
It's so I think that being open and living your life and, all of it, like all the trials and the great parts, and I hope that's what we do.
Well, I think
100%.
that spiritual leaders, that we know many people that have gone through stuff and have died in complete secrecy and shame. And I think as a spiritual leader, you have to not just air your laundry out for everybody, but to show, here's my laundry and this is how I cleaned it. This is how this is how I cleaned it.
But you have to have a process for it.
Yes.
You can't be in the hole, in the depths of it or something, and you're showing everybody that you're falling into a hole. This is how I climbed out. This is how you climbed out. You have to have processed it.
Right.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, because it could be dangerous otherwise, because you could be standing up there and, not having.
Because people want inspiration when they come there, but that doesn't mean that you get up there and you tell everybody how rosy everything is, because half the people, probably all the people, are sitting out there in the work like that you do. They're all sitting there with something, and just because you get spiritually fed or you grow, you don't just grow, you grow through that pain and going through it. And then, so I think that's really what I'm hoping that we represent to people that we can, life is going to hand you stuff and but it's what you do with it that matters. And that's kind of what our philosophy is about. About being responsible for how you react to life, not controlling you or you controlling me, controlling the self of how you behave, just like in the work you do.
Yeah.
Because we're part of the collective consciousness, So when we walk through this earth plane, that's all there, and we pick up some of it. We can't help it. But if we know what to do with it, since we know that I don't know if in your teaching, but
go for it.
95% subconscious and 5% thinking, right?
Yeah.
So all that subconscious is in there doing its work. We just listened to a thing with Bruce Lipton last night. It was really good. But so it makes sense. Like Ernest Holmes says, we're born into the consciousness of the race, which means collective conscious, and we're subjected to it. But the good news is we don't have to. We can rise above it.
Yeah.
We can rise above it if we become conscious. And that's what I think what it's about now is being conscious, evolving consciously, and not just letting subconscious run our lives, get more conscious about how we're thinking and more conscious about that we can change how we think and, and change our lives.
100%.
Right?
Yep. And we do it with spiritual mind treatment, the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment. And it definitely gives us the joystick to life to determine where our subconscious needs to go. It needs to go to faith and to where we want it to go. Go ahead. For anybody that doesn't know the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment, can you guys just give us a small lesson?
Well, we can both do it. Something came up last week, which is because you're always growing with it. Yeah. And that we're all energy. And so a lot of times when we do a spiritual mind treatment, we want to go beyond the words, especially now with quantum physics and everything that's coming up. There's 5 steps. And the reason we have steps isn't because the steps are magical or the word is magical. It's like a map. It's like this wonderful guidepost, so that when you're going through something, you have step one, which is recognizing. It's called recognition. And you're recognizing that everything seen and unseen comes from one power, an energy that you can't see, but you can see it, because I'm looking at you, Charles. I'm looking at Rita. I'm looking at me. There it is. That's that power that's constantly created, and we can use it for any way we want. That's the good news and the not so good. But if you just bathe in the energy of recognition, and now we call it identification, step 2, but it's really called unification. And the reason we like identification is actually Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of Science of Mind, actually used identification, because if we identify with something, that means we are naturally what? That's what we are.
Yes.
But if I have to unify or bring something out of somewhere else, then there's a separation.
Right.
So I like that idea. And then once you have steps, I think eventually we'll only have 2 steps. Because once you know that, what can't you do? Amen. Once you know that you are that incredible power. But we have a third step, which is
realization, which means that if you're all of that, if you're all that power, all that infinite intelligence, all that source that created everything, if that's who you are, then you can just declare whatever it is that you want to experience in your life, because it's coming from that place.
Yes.
And that's never been touched by anything, no condition or anything. It's just pure energy. So you're just declaring that this is how I see my life, the experience that I want. I want to be more prosperous, but you don't say I want, you say I am.
Yes.
Prosperous.
I am.
Because that's what source is. Source is unlimited. Source is abundant, and I'm that. And so therefore I am that. I can tap into all of that. And then
your favorite one is step 4, which is gratitude,
which means it's already happened. So all you have to do is say thank you.
Thank you. It's done.
And that generates a feeling.
That's a big feeling.
Yeah, it's a feeling of joy. It's a feeling of, oh my God, I'm living this now. So
what is Dr. What is Dr. I was going to say Doctor. What is Dr.
calls it the ultimate state of receivership, and it is the ultimate state of receivership.
Because once you're grateful, you've already received.
Yes.
And then the 5th step is the one that people have a little bit of trouble with. Letting it go to the greater mind.
Let
go out of your hands. Let go. Let go.
Which is the part of yourself. It's not
that
separate
wants to
from
know
you.
how.
Yeah, let that go, let the universe take it. And the universe, you are the universe.
Yes.
And if you're really feeling this and really sending it out, like then it has to bring it back to you. It has to magnetize back to you, and it will put the pieces together in the best way that's possible for you. It's not going to be the same for everybody, right? And whatever has to come, it'll come. All the support that you need, everything will come if you can stay. Like we call it will, and it's not willpower. Will is like keeping your mind poised on what it is that you're declaring, right? So it's just no matter what you see in the conditional world, you're keeping your mind poised basically on what you don't see, but what you know is true.
Amen.
You know, what you feel, and that you know it's there.
And it's science. It's science.
It is science.
Everything that anything that has ever been in science has come from the invisible. We know that. I mean, there has never been, nothing comes from the visible to the, it doesn't go that way. Everything is a thought, an imagination, a movement. But the thing why I think people think it's not like Sai Baba in India where things are poofing out of the sky. Like, I need a car. Boom, there. Wow, look at there it is. No, it's creating the energy that will create the situations, the people, the places, the things that will bring you to that experience.
Well, because we're all vibration, right? And whatever we're vibrating at is what we're going to attract, no matter what, right? And that's science. I mean, you're vibrating, I'm vibrating. We've all attracted each other into this experience right now. And, you're not meeting with so-and-so over there, you're meeting with us. So we're vibrating right together. Yes. So if you want something, you have to vibrate at that energy level, that frequency. Yeah, because we're all energy. Amen. So I think spiritual mind treatment is not just words. It's like shifting whatever the vibration is, the energy. You might get into a funk. What's it called? Funk.
Patrick knows about that funk.
I know about.
You might get into a funk, or you just get so like conditioned into what's happening and you can't see beyond it, spiritual mind treatment will help you lift yourself up to a higher consciousness and get the energy moving in the way you want it to move.
Amen.
You know, but you're doing it.
And if you ever want to get out of that funk that we were talking
Just
about,
do the Patrick
no,
dance.
well, it's even beyond that. I really have to say the biggest thing is humor and laughing is such an opening of the portal of energy that people cannot even imagine it. And I'm not talking about false humor, you know, that you're covering up your stuff because you don't want to look at it. I'm talking about just letting yourself go, because we take, you know, especially the last couple of years, we've been taking things a little serious. and so I'm seeing a lot of serious, and you know, serious contracts. It doesn't open. So I think I'm blessed with the idea that I can find some humor in a few things. When
everything.
In my work.
and for the audience out there, this is why I have been so faithful to the Center for Spiritual Living and the Science of Mind, and why I love this philosophy so much, and why I love these two so much. Why this is a special moment for me to having them on the show, because like look at the enthusiasm and the energy in which they just explain the 5 steps of spiritual treatment. Like this right here is the most powerful thing ever for anyone out there to know who you are, to recognize it, to claim what you want, and then, you know, to really like step into it. Step into it and
excited
and walk as if.
Walk as if.
It's not just about sitting there going, oh,
right.
But and also, you know, it's coming up too. We just heard with Bruce, who's another excitable guy, Bruce Lipton.
Dr. Bruce Lipton, yeah.
Dr. Bruce Lipton, he gets so excited about words I don't even understand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He gets he's like almost drooling on himself. He's so excited. And you know, excitement is a vibration. I've always said that about me. If I ever get into that place where I'm just kind of going through and I'm not excited, I already know right out of the gate that it's not going to happen. Yeah. But he was saying last night, and I've been saying this for a while, about ownership. And it's taking full ownership. And he said, taking ownership of the negative is just as important as the positive. And why is that so? It's because if you take ownership, like this is happening to me and it feels like crap. I don't know if I can say that on your podcast.
Yeah, heck yeah, hell yeah.
But if you take ownership, everyone thinks that, oh, I don't want to attract the negative to me. No. But what that's saying is, if I made it, I can clean it. If I make a mess, I can clean the mess.
Wow.
And do it to get it to positive. And when he said that last night, he said, why is everybody afraid of the negative? If the negative is there for you to own that is what is happening, so that you own something different. Yeah, that's the excitement to go. I'll take credit for it all, man. I met one of our colleagues. Josh. He always said, "I have messed up my life so much right now that just shows me how powerful I am. That if I could screw my life up this much, just think what I could do if I use the same power to unscrew it up and get what I want."
Ooh,
I mean,
wow.
It's one power. It's not like, oh, I went over to the bad power and then I went over to the good power. No. It was like, it's one power, man. Just how you use it. Make a different choice. Phew.
Yo, that right there, that's mind-blowing. Yo,
I mean, but that's such a almost taboo. Oh no, I'm not accepting the negativity in my life. You know, that's those people over there, that's that stuff over there, and keep it away from me. No, but if it's there, own it, release it. You know, so yeah, it's the new way, and then laugh at it. Take the negativity and laugh at it. What I did. That's how powerful I am. Look what I.
Oh my gosh. Yo, well, yeah, I was just agreeing. I'm sorry. I love when you're.
I'm sorry I'm so low key, but it's just been one of the.
Dude, when you're in flow, man, just watch out, everybody. Hey, make sure you guys check them out on Sundays, CSL Kauai, cslkauai.org. We'll get to all that soon. Yeah. But also, so there's so much more that I want to ask, but right here on the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. The technique that I have the honor of guiding you all through is the mental and emotional release technique. It's a neuro linguistic programming technique. And for all you out there that are listening, if you have anything that is on your chest, if you feel as though you're getting in your own way, if you feel as though you have something that is weighing you down, please go to charleswoolfork.com. There's a form on the front. Go ahead and fill that out and go ahead and schedule your appointment with me so you can go through the mental and emotional release process and do years of therapy, years of personal development, have multiple breakthroughs within minutes. And that's what we're going to be doing today. And I want to let you all know that I am not a doctor or a psychiatrist or a counselor, social worker, or any of those wonderful things. I am an alternative to help people shift their mindset. And today we are going to be releasing hurt and disappointment. So like, in what way, with you all being so spiritually mature, in what way does hurt and disappointment show up in your life nowadays?
You want to go first?
Go ahead.
I think hurt and disappointment can show up when you have expectations.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest way it can show up. And if you have expectations of something and that you're not facing that, whatever that is yourself, and then you project it out, then you get hurt because you're giving that feeling over to somebody else or some situation. So I think that is one. And what was the other one? Hurt and disappointment. And then let's say, disappointment's been a big thing with COVID because, especially in our situation where we've planned events and had to, cancel them, or not knowing what's coming next, creates disappointment. Like, okay, now what am I going to do next? Because I might be disappointed again. That kind of thing. But it is about expectations, though, I think. And having expectations that you're basing your happiness on that expectation. And then if it doesn't happen, you get disappointed.
That's definitely something great to remember as we do the exercise as well. That'll be something very key for you since you've already had that revelation. What about for you, Patrick?
The moment that you say disappointment, I've worked in and out with this my whole life, probably, because disappointment always brings me back to the inner child, which I do a lot of work with, is the inner child. And that's that I had somewhat of a dysfunctional father, a dysfunctional family. I mean, join the group. I like to say I'm rare in that, but I doubt it. But yeah, that feeling of disappointment when you get so excited, and I have that in me about something. I'll give an example. If I'm going, can we go to the fair, Mom? Can we go to the fair? And then, yes, if your father's not drinking that day, and then you're like, but I'm gonna, and you want to get excited about going to the fair, and then sorry, honey, your dad's, and then you just fall into this incredible disappointment. So what it does is it helps, and unfortunately it takes you to forebode joy, because if you're always afraid, and I have it, so I'm saying it always reemerges in maybe a different way, and that you want to kind of release it. That's why I'm glad we're talking about hurt and disappointment, because hurt is one of the things that, you get angry about, and like for me, if I'm angry, it's usually because I'm hurt. I'm really hurt. And I don't want to tell you I'm hurt because it's vulnerable.
Right. And
so as long as I can keep that, I'm disappointed, so I get hurt. But then I don't want to show you, so then I get angry. So I turn my hurt into anger, as you and I have said many times. What hurt people. And I think that disappointment's a huge one, because it is a big foreboding of joy. Because if you're afraid of disappointment, you're not going to venture out.
Right. You're
going to be so afraid to get excited about something because you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about that lately.
I'm so excited because I have a front row seat to see where your creativity goes and what events will happen, because you guys don't have the friction of hurt and disappointment between whatever you all would like to do in the future. So that's exciting. That's very exciting.
Yeah. I mean, we even said it's interesting now, even, just as an example, if you want, when, you get excited about Rita and I come up with this great creative idea, right?
Yeah.
And we go, okay, we're going to have a ceremony with self-love and people are going to commit to themselves and Valentine. Wow, we're so excited. Wait till everybody hears it. Wait, yeah. And then you look and nobody signs up.
Mm-hmm.
First, you're what? Disappointed. And then what happens? You get hurt because you go, oh, nobody likes my idea. No. Like our idea, Rita. What did I do? You know, and I'm making light of it. Yeah, but I do know in the core of it, it is a disappointment and hurt. So I'm glad you're actually working with that because that's a biggie.
Yeah. I'm so proud to do so. Let's get it. So with this process, all we got to do are three things. Number one, got to use your imagination. Number two, we have to follow directions, just like we follow a good recipe or Google Maps. And number three is to trust the process. Know that I'm your guide and I'll be leading you through this easily and effortlessly. And I come from a place of love and high vibrations. Now, the most important thing to have now for you all, this is a bonus, you know what I mean? And this is for everyone. The bonus is if you have compassion and empathy for everyone inside of every single event and see from other people's perspective, that's where the deeper healing comes from. That's where the major breakthroughs come from, is where you see from other people's perspective and not just empowering yourself. All right. Yeah. And for every single event, it is a trigger that you're getting rid of. So it's for every single event, it's a trigger to where something happens and you won't be triggered by the event. So therefore, for every single, make sure that you go over as many events as possible. I'll direct you through that, but make sure that you take your time. I edit this video, so take your time. Do not worry about any type of time constraints. This is your process. This is your time.
Okay.
Awesome. If you guys can separate just a little bit, just so you're not touching each other, just so you won't anchor any type of touches or anything to anything that's
this might be difficult for her not to touch me, but
keep your hands to yourself, Rita. Is it all right? Okay, let's get it. Is it all right with your unconscious mind for you to release this hurt and disappointment today, and for you to be aware of it consciously?
Yes.
Awesome. Patrick, what is the root cause of this problem? The first event, which when disconnected, that will cause this problem to disappear. If you were to know, when was the first time that you felt hurt or disappointed between the ages of birth and 7? Rita, I'll be asking you the same question. So
one of the very first hurts is that when our family moved from a house to a trailer park. Mm-hmm. I was 6. Mm-hmm.
And you were saying that it was like what?
It was you're in this big home and then you're not. So it's a feeling of taking the elevator down from the penthouse to something else. Now, so that was a huge disappointment for me.
Understood. Rita?
It was when my younger sister was born. It's none of her fault. So I'm not going to, I love my younger sister and we're good friends. Yep. But I think that my little girl was didn't get all the attention. And this is what I'm remembering anyway. And she was special and I wasn't. And she got all that attention and I didn't. And I always felt like, oh, she's the special one, and daddy's not paying attention to Rita anymore. That's what comes to my mind first when you say that.
Now we're going to create imaginary timelines. Now with your imaginary timeline, your past can be to your left, to your right, or behind you. Rita, if you were to know, where's your past?
Behind me.
Where's your future?
Oh, right here in front of me.
Awesome. Patrick, where's your past?
Behind me.
Where's your future?
In front of me.
Perfect. All right, you all keep your eyes closed, and you guys, there's going to be together. So we're going to do this process together. You guys can go ahead and keep your eyes closed and let me know when you're ready for the process to drop your baggage. Awesome. All right. Now, just imagine floating outside of your body as if though you were spirit or energy, and just imagine seeing yourself from a third person point of view right here, right now, just like a fly on the wall. See your white dress, your blue shirt, the couch that you're sitting on, your beautiful kitchen. Let me know when you can see yourself from a third person point of view. Take your time. Awesome. Now, just imagine floating behind you into the past and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past, above that first event in which you felt hurt or disappointed when you were just a little kid, and just hover above that event, seeing that event like a fly on the wall from a third person point of view. Awesome. Now, as you hover above that event, seeing yourself like a fly on the wall, just ask your unconscious mind what it needs to learn from the event, the learning of which will allow you to let go of the emotions easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve the learnings so that if you need them in the future, they'll be there. Just tell your unconscious mind to preserve the learnings. This is an exercise of forgiveness and acceptance. Forgiveness for yourself and others, and acceptance of yourself and others. Who do you have to forgive? What do you have to accept? Be sure to see from the perspective of everyone inside the event and have empathy and compassion for everyone inside the event. As you focus your attention upon how hurt people, we're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have. We can't control anyone else's actions, but we can control our response. We can grow stronger and wiser and learn from other people's actions and mistakes. Other people's actions have nothing to do with you. It's only a reflection of their baggage and whatever they're going through at the time. And we're better people than we were when those events occurred. You're a better person than you were when those events occurred. And as you float above that first event, seeing yourself and everyone else like a fly on the wall, ask yourself, what is something positive and empowering you can tell yourself and everyone inside the event with the consciousness that you have today that will allow the emotions to evaporate like water on the concrete on a hot summer day. And as you preserve these learnings, the emotions are starting to dissipate more and more until they're all gone. Just let me know when they're all gone. Take your time. Awesome. Now, Patrick, go ahead, keep your eyes closed. And as you observe the event, what is something that you learned from the event?
That I could, and I do, can adjust to anything, from moving to anything else that can help me in anything that I do. It was a gift, actually, because
Awesome.
even little I could adjust to change.
That's right. Rita, as you observe the event with your eyes closed, tell me, what did you learn from the event?
That everyone is special and that somebody can't take someone's specialness away, that no matter what, we're all individually special.
That's right. Very good. Great job, guys. Now, just imagine floating up above your timeline and float behind you into the past and float deeper and deeper and deeper into the past above the dinosaurs during the prehistoric age. Let me know when you're above the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Now, as you're above the dinosaurs, just imagine floating deeper and deeper into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. And imagine your timeline is the size of a fingernail. Let me know when you're there. Awesome. Now, just imagine floating right there in space, weightless, and ask yourself now, where are the emotions? Tell me, are they there or have they disappeared now?
They're not there.
They're not there.
Awesome. Now, just imagine floating down inside the event, seeing through your own eyes as a little kid, and check on the emotions. Verbally tell me, are they there or have they disappeared now?
Not there.
Not there.
Awesome. Float back above the dinosaurs and then float into space to where space and the atmosphere connects. Let me know when you're there. Great job. Now, listen closely. Float very, very high above your timeline, above each and every event in which you felt hurt or disappointed from birth until now in chronological order. Don't skip one event that has a major charge on it. Preserve the learnings and let go of all the hurt and disappointment all the way back to now. And when they're all gone, you can float down into your body and open your eyes when you're ready. Welcome back. All right. Good stuff. How was that one?
That was good.
Yeah.
Very calming, too.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Very calming.
Yeah, lots of stuff came up. It's good.
Interesting to have the first one but it affected all the rest.
Mhm.
Because of the first one that we did, it assisted with all the others.
It,
Took the kind of the lesson, the learning
Mhm.
into and they were all kind of the same one. I mean, the same theme, the same message, the same stuff. So it was a little easier as you went on to not get pushed every time you went to a new
Mhm.
thing. Yeah.
I'd agree. I definitely would agree, because once you get to that root cause, that's the one where it kind of gave you that initial reaction to where your mind goes back to that reaction every single time. You know, your mind goes back to, oh, I'm going to react this way because this is how I reacted when I was a little kid. You see, and therefore It can. Yep. It can. That's that theme that you just been reacting the same way over time. Crazy how the mind works.
It's amazing how they all have landing on each one.
Wow,
that
they're all the same.
Everything was different experience, but the same root. It's the same hurt over and over. And then when you I think it was, what did I say in the beginning? I said that I realized that it had trained me to adjust and to be flexible. And then I realized that even now it gave me the same lesson, the same gift that I can use now in COVID times. And now I can use it, the same gift that was given then you can have now.
Yeah, 100%. It's just it's that much more important nowadays with us all having to expect the unexpected and be flexible. Were there any revelations that you found helpful, Rita?
Mine was all about compassion and understanding.
Who did you have to have compassion for in the first event?
Well, just each person. I don't know if I want to go specifically who.
Okay.
Right, better not to, but just the idea when you said that everybody's doing the best they can and it's just who they are that time, and that they've got their baggage and things they're dealing with. And I think that it helps open up compassion. And if you can have compassion, it doesn't end forgiveness, like you said, but compassion, then you don't even need forgiveness, because if you can have compassion, there's nothing to forgive. You're just in a state of understanding and just basically allowing and accepting everybody for where they're at. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. That's for sure. You're, and I like that word of, accepting where they are, especially with the consciousness that they have, especially at the time. Somebody may not know something as far as communication, or
they're not thinking of that.
Exactly. And it's all about, from our perspective, we're taking it the way that we want to take it, or we need to take it, in order to kind of survive in this world.
Right. Yeah, because we're always in, not always, but we get into a self-protective mode that we want to protect, our little self.
It was interesting. Another aha was that makes me laugh, actually, because there wasn't one scene or incident that came up when I looked at it from their perspective. None of it had anything to do with me.
Never.
And I thought all of it had to do with me. No, I was a legend in my own mind, because I thought it was all about me. And as I went through each person, all the way down to the very end, a scene, an event, I went, oh my God, that wasn't even about me. Even though you hurt me, that wasn't even about hurting me.
Right.
You were just hurt.
Yeah.
So, oh my God, that is so funny. There was a cartoon I saw today, just popped in my mind. It showed a boss yelling at his employee, and this kind of falls in place. And then the employee went home and yelled at his wife, and then the wife yelled at the child. And then the child yelled at the cat. So when you look at it, this gave me goosebumps. When you look at it, that's what it all was. Everybody was reacting by hurt. And then I went, oh, but I thought it was all about how horrible I was. But then I realized I was never about that. It was only what you were talking about, where I took it and said, oh, this is about me. This is about me.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow. What a rude awakening to find out that it's not all about me. I'm going to have to really work on this. I don't know whether or not to thank you or not.
You are still the center of the universe. Don't worry. You're still the center of the universe.
As long as you can assure me of that, then I'm okay with it. Wow, that's nice. That's a nice revelation.
Yeah. I definitely I had to, when I was growing up without a dad, I took it personally that I never got a Christmas present or birthday card. And I always thought he would be around. He would have stayed if I was lovable, if I was good enough. And, of course, the fact of the matter is, I don't know what he and my mom were going through. I don't know if he ran away from things his whole life. I don't know what type of pressures he was under, and also my mom's a very strong woman. I don't know what they said. I don't know what was said, but I after I learned like, hey, it wasn't about me. And I didn't take it personal anymore. I felt so much more peace. Yeah. So much more, like, the whole compassion part. Once I, just accepted where he was at that time as a 25-year-old young man, right? A kid in all actual reality. It definitely helps you release, and not hold on to things so much. It's just like, we're all just going through this human experience as a spirit.
Right.
I think it's compassion. What Rita was saying, compassion. You don't even need really forgiveness once you have the compassion.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the little girl, her little sister. I mean, that was born, and then my brother, who was 7 years older. I had to go back to that. Mm-hmm. I realized it had nothing to do with me. Even if he wanted me dead, it didn't even have anything to do with him really wanting me dead. No. He just wanted a part of me not to be there because of wherever he was. So mm-hmm. I'm like going, wow, when you start looking at perspective of everything, yeah, it's impossible. You're hitting, as you said, the major events that cause, because there's a million, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But if you hit the major one, then it actually takes care of the other ones.
Yeah.
Because you don't even need to look at it as much, because they're clumped together because they're the same.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You cruise. Go ahead.
Life in the future too. I mean,
that's the key,
because you're not going to attract it anymore. You're not going to attract the experiences because you won't have to, learn something anymore. You've already learned it.
Right.
And it's kind of like wherever you go, there you are. People start having the same relationship over and over, even though it's a different face.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that carries to everything, not just carries to jobs. It carries to love relationships, friendships, employers, everything.
And then once you see this, like I'm feeling, it's more of a feeling now. Once I feel this, I know there's a couple of events coming up that mm-hmm. I'm going, oh, I'm about to face that event, mm-hmm. that challenge, that person. And I'm thinking, it's hard to look at it the same way now, because you're going, and then oh shit, it's not about me.
That's right.
It's not about me.
That's right.
I'm thinking it's about me. My confrontation is going to be about me. Mm-hmm. And it has nothing to do with me. It's all about you. And mm-hmm. so I'm knowing that I will handle it differently.
Yeah.
Knowing that.
Yeah.
So that I will be less reactive with my mental rehearsing that someone's out to make me upset, when they're not. They're just upset. So they're gonna, who's ever in their way, like that little thing, the employer takes it home to his wife, the wife takes it to the kid because mm-hmm. he can't go that way, and then the kid says, you can't talk to I have power over the cat.
Yeah. It's so there's two things I want to mention. Number one, Dr. Joe always talks about how when you change your personal reality, you change your personality. So with this modality, you shift your perspective upon your personal reality. And therefore, like with your personality, you may run into the same opportunities to react with that hurt.
Right.
But you don't react the same way. So therefore, like you were talking about, Rita, you don't attract all of the other responses from that. You don't go down that wormhole.
Right.
So that, like, it's, the same things may come up, but mm-hmm. you don't even see it. It's not even in,
right.
Not even in your universe anymore. And number two, there was you guys know what I'm talking about, but the audience doesn't really know. It's about like there's so many words that are explosive in our culture, whether it be, tranny or, Negro or whatever it may be. Uh-huh. Right. And somebody has said that before. And this was after I did this work, and I had already done this work. Therefore, I didn't have the same reaction. as the people around me. As like, yo, that's her consciousness.
Right.
You see, she said that word Negro. It's an older woman, by the way, audience. She said the word Negro because she came from an era that said that as just a way to describe African Americans. And I know this woman personally, and I love her. And, other people heard it and they thought I might be offended, but I took it for what it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just like, I didn't even react. It was shocking, but at the same time, I thought it was hilarious as well that she actually says that.
Or behaving in a way that's kind of like, I don't know, I would imagine, like that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
But then when you look at it from this perspective, they're still not about what you're talking about anyway. It's not even about that scene. It's about their unacceptability of what hasn't been accepted in their life. So it still isn't about they're going, that's unacceptable. But in reality, it's I'm not acceptable because that can't be. And then you're over there going, I wouldn't suggest it.
Exactly.
But I'm not all triggered by it. Like,
no,
out to get me.
No, exactly. It's so, just having the compassion and not taking things and not having the triggers to take things personally like you used to. It helps out so much. It helps out so much.
I think that's hysterical. I'm going to have to go through my whole life thinking all this time. I thought it was all about me. And so now I got to go back in my world. And what did Rita say the other day? And something she said, don't let the world tell you who you are. You tell who you are. Tell the world who you are, not them telling you. And so this is kind of that thing that's going, wait a minute, how am I going to look at my drama quite the same way when I'm in personal defense? You're after me, but you're really not after me because you're just dealing with you. Oh, man.
These talks are going to get a whole lot more boring on Sundays, guys. I'm so sorry.
Oh, wow.
Oh, thank you all. Thank you guys so much for showing up. But yes, thank you guys so much for showing up for your divine appointment.
Nice light bulb. Nice light bulb.
Well, hey, you give me so many throughout the year. I'm glad to give you at least one. You're always hitting me upside the head with wisdom. Like, whoa.
But remember, it's never about you. Not about me either. Oh wow, what are we gonna do? Yeah, and your work too, my friend. Thank you for doing your work and going out there in the world and serving people in so many ways. This is one of the ways that you serve, but you serve in so many ways.
Thank you.
And you're a gift. You're a gift to everyone who knows you. So, and you'd be a gift to your father if he knew you right now too. So I'm sure that you are. So
yeah.
There you go.
Thank you. Please tell everybody where to reach you all.
Oh, the best way is to go to the website and cslkauai.org, cslkauai.org. There's contact information there. There's a phone number. It's 808-431-1700. And if you have a question or something, but you can contact us through the website. It's best.
And it'll tell all the events, the morning meditations, the stuff that's going on.
Right.
And past Sundays too, our Sunday celebrations are always archived. So it's great. You can live stream in. You can be there. We'll never know you're there. You can be that wonderful voyeur that just comes in and checks it out and says, oh, wow, that guy does do the funky dance. Yeah, he does. Yeah. So thank you so much for everything you do too, Charles.
Thank you. And I'll see you guys on Sunday. And thank you all once again. Thank you all too for listening and for your attention and your support. If you all are listening, thank you so much. I love you all with all my heart. If you're still here, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button to go ahead and activate all the algorithms of social media. And if you're on the podcast platform, give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well. And right here on the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. I am your host, the self-talk engineer, Charles Woolfork, and with my amazing guests, Rev Rita and Rev Patrick. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself and take care of one another. Peace.